Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast. This is Marta.
Hello, and Camilla.
We are so very thrilled about the positive feedback we have received from friends and family, which just encourages us even more to create great content and give you guys some great information. And I just really appreciate you all. A lot of times when you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you want to create something that you've never done before, uh, I've been told that, oh, your people are gonna make fun of you and judge you and tell you your ideas are stupid. And but you know what? The positive feedback we have received was is just beautiful, and I love it. And thank you so much.
It was really cute, and I'm even more excited to share everything. A little
Yes,
bit less awkward, hopefully, this time around. I will make eye contact.
we will get less awkward as it goes.
Probably not, but we'll try.
Yeah. So I did jot down one thing that I wanted to touch on today is kind of like the beginning of things, right? Because, you kind of, when you get thrown into this huge change in your life, which for me lasted about, maybe 3 years, I would say, like from, no, not really, 2020. So 6 years from like the point of destruction to the point of, wow, this is this beautiful life that I have after all of this. So I guess 6 years. It doesn't have to last 6 years. I believe it was that long for me because I didn't really have any guidance. I had to dig and look and find um, things and books and what was working, what wasn't working. And that's why it took so long because I literally feel like I tried all of it and everything. So just the beginning stages of like what made me even feel like my life had to change or things had to change or what was happening in my life that maybe wasn't ideal. So just like the beginning stages of what brought us here, what brought on the change, and right, uh, Camilla, like for you, the same thing. Like at some point, you were like, "Where is this life going?" or "What am I doing here?" Or you've maybe had some things that you didn't know how to deal with, and what were like the first steps that you took to change your life to kind of see like what else is there? Like what
Yeah.
was the first step to healing, basically? Because that word healing is thrown around a lot, but what does it even mean? What does it mean to you?
I feel like the first step, and it's the same, I think, for a lot of people, would be awareness of even what's going on in your life to begin with. Like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? What do I like? What do I don't like? I think for me, one of the beginning things was working in the food and beverage industry and like the service industry. It forced me to talk about my life because it was in a town that I wasn't from. I moved to North Carolina, and it forced everyone's like, oh, what's your name? Where are you from? What do your parents do? Like all these questions. I'm like, ew, what do you even care? First of all, and I don't want to talk about this stuff. Like I moved
Mhm.
away to get away from 717. Oh wait, it's 16 Sorry, never mind. I moved away to get away from my past and my life and everything I felt like I was just trying to kind of run from because I didn't understand it. And, like many of us, I was just an angry, well, I wasn't a teenager, but I was an angry teenager, and then young adult, and I kind of just ran away from my problems. And then all these people were asking me all these questions, and it forced me to kind of think about it. I was like, who am I? What? And then I kind of play this role of like, well, I could be whoever I want, until it all catches up to you. It really does. Like you can't.
You
What
could
I
only
used to say,
pretend for
people
so
like,
long, right?
yeah. And I would like take on these personalities, different people that I was with, or who I was dating, or um, who I was hanging out with, like in that time of my life. And you can run and hide for so long, or you can run, but you can't hide from yourself, because eventually it'll come out in your relationships more than anything. Like your true shadow will come out of the dark, and you have to face that in order to really know who you are outside of all that trauma. And I think that was the first step of just becoming aware, asking those questions, like digging deeper than what was just there that day. And at the moment, I was numbing with drugs and alcohol, so I wasn't really fully aware. And I think that's a big thing too. People, I'm not here to say, oh, you have to be sober and you have to do it the way I did it. But for me, I really had to clear my head and clear my mind, and there couldn't have been anything to cloud that judgment of who am I, what am I, and just physiologically speaking, your body reacts to these substances. So you're not the same person you are. I don't care what anybody says. When you're high or when you're drunk or when you're even have nicotine in your body, you're just not the same person. You
Even
respond to
caffeine
things,
too.
and caffeine too. Yes. Um, and I've quit that for a little bit too, but you know what? It's better than crack. So sometimes.
So that's what brought
Um,
you to think more about your life, was when people started asking you questions about who you were, what you were from.
yes.
And when you said that you took on these other personalities, it is very common for people, for children who grow up in a very traumatic upbringing, to take on other people's personalities because they don't actually want to share their life. They don't want to share their personality. And being an immigrant family, being immigrant children, our upbringing was very traumatic. Just immigration on its own, when you're thrown into a whole different country, uh, was just, and back then we came here from Poland in 1994. So in the 90s, you didn't have like this uh melting pot situation in other countries, right? Like Poland was just Polish people. I Before I moved out of Poland when I was 10 years old, I've never seen an Asian person, I've never seen a black person, I've never seen any other person besides a Polish person. Now Poland has, other cultures in it here and there, but so to just move with your parents and your siblings to a whole different country was very, very traumatic. So, long story short, children of traumatic upbringing tend to do that. They tend to take on other people's personalities and stories, and they don't really want to talk about their upbringing. They don't want to talk about themselves. So, it seems like that's kind of where you were heading your whole life up until in your 20s, when you were really looking into, like, who am I actually, you know?
Yeah, and then it definitely, that was the beginning of it. Like, who am I actually, underneath everything? And then it wasn't until COVID happened, when everything shut down, and then I could no longer mask behind my business. I could no longer work myself, you know, work it away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you were kind of just shut down by yourself to really just sit there and like deal with everything. And it was such a beautiful thing, because that really, really threw me into my healing journey. And I'm so grateful for that time. And then at the same time, I got pregnant, and it obviously forced me to be sober. And so it was a beautiful blessing all at the same time. I mean, it was really, really hard. But like looking back now, I'm so glad I got through that and got to do that, as what some people call like the dark night of the soul. But you can call it whatever. It's just that point where you're like diving into the dark sea, and you have no idea if you're even gonna come up from it. Like, you have no idea. You're like, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and dive in, because this surface level shit is not cutting it. So I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
take a nice deep dive into the darkness, the abyss, that I have no idea what I'm gonna hit, what's under there. And eventually it just starts, getting through all that muck, and eventually you come out, what I can, metaphorically say, like on this beautiful island of peace and joy. And it's not like nothing, like we talked about the other day, nothing changed, but like I changed. So everything changed.
Yes.
And I know that no matter what happens, I have that in my power. Um, sorry. I have that in my power to find myself through whatever ocean I am diving in, whatever thing I'm going through. I know I'll come out the other end stronger, better, and more clear. I can see things clearer. I'm lighter, more peaceful, more content, just at peace. And that's what I always wanted. I just wanted peace in my head, in my heart, in my body. I just wanted the noise to stop, you know? So, yeah, it was probably, yeah, a good 10 years. But the last 5 years really pushed everything forward.
Mhm.
And when I became a mom, that was really a huge thing for me because I was like, and everything else, I was like, oh, I'm so good, you know, I'm so happy. And then that whole kind of can of worms opened. When you become a mother, you see yourself as that child again. But that, in its sense, healed relationships with my mother, and my entire family. And just, I see the world in such a different place now, and in such a different way.
Yes.
So that was really beautiful to see too.
Yes,
So,
because for anybody listening, nothing mirrors you better than your children. You see yourself in your kids. You see your actions in your kids. I'll never forget the moment that when my children were little, everything I said was said back to me, was mirrored to me. Everything I did was mirrored to me. The way that I spoke was mirrored right back to me. The way
yep,
that I behaved, the tone of voice that I used. And I was like, wow. I'm like, when my kid says this to me, it doesn't feel good, but it's literally something I said to them 5 minutes ago or 2 days ago. And that's what really got me to open my eyes to the way that I spoke, the things that I thought, the tone of voice that I used was because when it's mirrored to you and it feels like crap, then you're like, wow, I'm making people feel that way when I speak to them. And similarly, COVID in 2020 was what propelled me into healing too, because I am naturally a very happy, bubbly, positive person. But what I didn't realize I was doing was I was taking all the shit and packing it down, packing it down, packing it down, not dealing with it, not dealing with anger, not dealing with negative things, not dealing with just, certain things that I didn't want to do, but I did do. And I remember it started to show up for me physically because I wasn't dealing with it. All of a sudden, I was getting body aches. I would get this constant pain in between my shoulder blades that just wouldn't go away. And I remember getting a massage by my friend Shannon, who's wonderful at so many different things. And she said, she's like, your body says you're not listening. You're just going, 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 and you're not listening. And I was like, what the hell is she talking about? I'm happy, I'm positive, and what was happening was there was so much underneath that happiness and that positivity that I wasn't looking at. So it was coming out in physical pain and it was coming out in like rage, but the rage wasn't daily. The rage was so very rarely in between that I didn't catch it early enough because like I would have a great 2 weeks and then all of a sudden this rage would come on to where it's like there was this fire in my soul that I was like, where is this coming from? What is happening? What's in there? What was in there was my entire life up until I was 38 years old of performing to feel safe, people pleasing to survive, uh knowing things were wrong or bad or this or that, but going along with it because I didn't want to upset anybody. I don't want to make anybody feel sad. So just packing it down until becoming a mother made me more conscious of myself. And then when I became more conscious of how I was behaving, all of a sudden I became more conscious to that fire in my body, that fire that wanted to just get out, and then I will talk about this maybe in another time, but eventually that anger, once I tapped into that anger, it came out like a volcano erupted, and just a side note, it's never okay to take out your anger on your kids, your spouses, people around you. You have to find healthy ways how to deal with it. But once I tapped into that grief, because that's what it is, anger is protecting the grief in your heart. So once I tapped into that grief, that anger, it all erupted like a volcano, and it was erupting for like 3 years. 3 years. It was just like, "When is this ever going to end?" Because it would just keep coming out because that's how much was in there. So even though I wasn't aware of it, it was just sitting around, you know, causing symptoms in my life. Symptoms of body aches, symptoms of occasional, anger, but it wasn't just like anger. It was when the anger came on, it was like this Darth Vader anger, It was heavy anger, it was strong anger. It wasn't like, "Oh, I'm mad today." No, like it was rah,
Scorch the earth.
scorched the earth, yes, and I just couldn't ignore it anymore because it was coming out, seeping out little by little, affecting my relationship with my children, affecting my relationship with my husband, my mom, my sisters, whoever. So so then I started to wonder, like, why am I once a week just crying my eyes out when nothing really happened? Why am I once a week feeling this rage in my body? I didn't really understand it. And then I came across Dr. Nicole LaPera, uh, w- and I started to get curious about it. Like, and the first thing that I learned from her, one of the first things, is that you have to be present in your life. A lot of people walk around on autopilot, meaning you wake up, you make your coffee, you eat your breakfast, you drive to work, and you don't even realize you're doing that. Have you ever just like woken up and then started driving to work, and all of a sudden you're at work and you're like, wow, how did I even get here? Like, that's called autopilot. Your mind is on autopilot because you do the same things every day. You are on autopilot. And so when you're on autopilot, you don't consider the little things that are here and there. So what I started to practice was practice being present in my life. Being present means what you're thinking about and what you're doing is the same thing. So when you're washing your dishes, you're thinking about washing your dishes. Scrub the dish, rinse the sponge, put more soap on. When you're walking, you're thinking about walking. So instead of your mind wandering, while you're walking, you're wondering about, like, the conversations you had with your husband, the conversations you had with your kids, your finances, whatever. When you're walking, be aware of yourself walking. Watch your feet, one go in front of the other. Watch the trees. What's that road sign say? So this is how you become present. And when you become present in your life, you start to notice these little and big things that you've been letting go that are causing you a lot of crap in your life, but you're just unaware of it. So anyway, for anybody listening in, if there are things that maybe you don't love that are happening in your life, or maybe you're not really aware, or maybe you don't know what's going on, tapping into that presence in your life is really key here.
Disconnected from your body, from your family, from your life. And I know a lot of women and men go through that rage, especially mothers, I think, of just being, so mad because they lack taking care of themselves, and they lack connecting with themselves truly, like you were saying, autopilot and being present in the moment, and just understanding that feelings are there to tell you their feedback. And I think for all of us, we were raised, especially the generations that came before us, of, there were no time for feelings. Like, it didn't matter if you were sad or mad or whatever the case may be. And just like a child, like when they're mad or sad, we're so quick to be like, oh, feel better or stop being mad, like all these things. But if you just give it that moment to just let them truly feel whatever it is their body's response was to that situation, they're over it within a second. They completely forget what's even going on. And if anything, they're happier after. You're like, whoa.
Mhm.
They're just like, well, going on about my day. But here we are as adults being like, hey, don't be mad at whatever happened, or don't be sad at this. And it's like,
It's
no,
okay
like
to be sad. It's
it's
okay to be
feedback.
mad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
feedback. Emotions are feedback from your body, and it's okay. You
Yeah.
just don't want to get stuck in it, but you have to feel it in order to even understand it, in order even to process it. That's the first step, is awareness. I'll be right
Yes.
back, friend. I'm sorry. You continue if that's okay.
Yes. So that's basically the whole thing is looking at your life and deciding the things that you don't like about it, the things that are not working. And if you are in tune and connected and present, life will talk to you. It will tell you, hey, this isn't working. That's wrong. This doesn't feel good. And I think I had a pretty good grasp, like the first thing of feedback. Okay, so I'm getting my thoughts together. Thank you. So once I started to get myself out of autopilot and I started to become more present in my day and how I responded to things, just paying attention more, I started to realize that a lot of the times I got angry in my day had nothing to do with the other person, you know, with my children or with my husband or anything like that. It had more to do with the things that were inside of me, like the inability to take a break, like I never gave myself a chance to take a break. I just did things, whether it was work, taking care of the kids, doing household stuff. I was just go, 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 working out a lot. And when you just keep yourself so occupied every minute of the day, you don't ever have the time to look at things, to reflect on things. And I remember there was a time when my kids were, I don't know, maybe like uh 10, 8, and 6, or like 12, 10, and 8. And I remember just sometimes going into my room and having to do work and then coming out and just feeling angry. And then one day I came out and I just felt so angry and I was like, "Hey guys, pick up your toys. Why is this messy? Why is that messy?" And I felt this anger building up. And then I realized none of this is their fault. Whatever is triggering me from within. It's triggering me from either some things that I haven't dealt with, some projections from my childhood, maybe just a lacking of skill, or maybe just being overwhelmed. There was just way too many things on my plate at that time. And my kids were of that age where I feel like I kind of expected them to just know they had to clean, to know they had to, do whatever. But bottom line was, what stood out to me in that moment was I locked myself in a room to work, didn't give my kids instructions on anything, didn't say, like, do this, this, this. Then I came out and I was annoyed at the fact that it wasn't done, but I never fully uh, communicated what needed to be done. And that reminded me of just a cycle in my life. It's something I learned from my mom, and then I basically just behaved in a similar way. It was a pattern that I learned in childhood, that I didn't clearly communicate this, but now I'm mad because you didn't complete it. So that was something I had to unlearn over a couple years. It was very much like ingrained within me. That like assumption that everybody should know what it is I'm expecting of them without proper communication. So becoming more present in my life really helped me identify my triggers, identify where I was lacking in communication, where I was lacking in reflection, where I was lacking in rest, where I was lacking in having conversations that would improve relationships instead of being angry that somebody didn't do something that I never communicated about. So, uh, I don't know if, did you hear any of that? Did you want to add anything to it? Let's see at my notes. And also just being present enough to hear God. A lot of times, especially nowadays, we have podcasts, we have music, we have so much entertainment that we're filled to the brim with entertainment, music, people talking, TikToks, Instagrams, and we don't always take enough quiet time in our day to hear God, right? To hear answers. And I remember that was one of the major things was before I was thrown into this journey of healing and changing my life. I remember saying to God, or just saying in general, I was like, is this it? Like, what else is there? What is the point of this? What is the point of any of this? Like what else? What are we doing here? What is the point of being on this
Yeah.
planet? What is the point of putting all this effort into life when at the end of the day you die, right? Like what is it? Um, and then to my surprise, God started answering by, sometimes the answer was in a book, sometimes the answer was in like, hey, meditate for a few days. But it's really important to have time, neutral time to yourself to where nothing's coming in and nothing's going out. That means you're not talking to anyone and you're not listening to anything. Just spending time with yourself in silence. You don't have to be sitting there. You could silently wash the dishes. You can silently go on a walk. You can silently uh, weed your garden. You can silently clean your house. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be just sitting there. Although meditation is fantastic and it's changed my life, um, neutral time is also fantastic because your life can only change when you start to ask questions and when you reach for help. The help is there, the guidance is there, but it's not there if you don't ask. It's not there if you don't reach first. God can't throw you a rope to save you if you're not asking for it, if you're not
Yeah.
reaching for help, you know?
And also, if you're not even aware, or not
Can you
even
try
aware,
putting
but
your microphone
honest,
closer to your mouth?
honest
Oh,
here.
better.
Oh,
Yes.
hello. Hello, everybody. Um, or if you're not honest about that you need help, right? Like if you're
Yes.
just like, I'm fine, I'm, you know, all these things, and not being honest and about where you truly are in your life, he's
Yeah.
not going to throw you a rope because it's like, well, then you're fine, you know? And
Mhm.
he knows, like, he knows what's up, but you have to know what you're going through. You have to surrender. You have to be like, all right, I'm fucked. I cannot do this by myself. I clearly cannot. I'm suffering. I hate this. It has to be a better way. Please help me. Like, show me the way. And he will. She, he, whatever you want to call
Yeah, and
the higher
suffering though
being.
doesn't always mean that like you're in physical pain or you're being beaten or you're starving or whatever. Suffering sometimes means you're being silent when you know something's wrong, right? When you know something is happening in front of you and it feels like it's wrong, but you stay silent and you don't say anything because you're afraid of the consequences of what if I open my mouth and this happens. But so yeah, so suffering can mean different things. Like I said, I was typically a very bubbly, happy person because everything that I didn't like, everything that um wasn't for me, I was just packing it away. And then eventually
Yeah.
it just erupted anyway, right? So the longer that you wait with things that you don't really love or like or
Like
approve
out of
of,
alignment.
out of
Like if you're living
alignment,
out of alignment, you know,
yeah,
to
the it's
yourself.
gonna catch up to you eventually. If it doesn't catch up to you now, right? It can catch up later in life as cancer or some kind of illness. I know at some point eventually I was getting very sick. I was sick all of the time. I was always feeling bad, always spiking fevers. I was getting injured. I messed up my arm. I messed up my back. And finally, when I messed up my back, I got kind of scared because back issues are major. It can really mess up your life. And I was like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm going to start doing it now. And for me, that was um, accepting help, really, like getting off the merry-go-round of I will focus on these things once I'm done cleaning the house, painting the roof, chopping the tree, whatever it was. I would fill my day with the most ridiculous task list just to avoid feeling what was inside. So as soon as I got off the merry-go-round, at that point, I just didn't want to get injured again because I just kept getting injured. And every time I reflected, I knew exactly what was happening, but I was just not taking the right steps. So finally, at that point, I stopped doing things that were just not dire, right? Like stopped milking my goats, stopped making, homemade bread, stopped gardening, stopped doing all these things that technically I don't have to do them. I can just buy bread, I can buy vegetables. I don't live somewhere where that work is necessary. So when I stopped having a huge task list and I started accepting help, my body started to heal. When I started to allow for myself to rest, when I started to have difficult conversations with my family members that are close to me. You don't have to have difficult conversations with everybody, but if it's something that's affecting your life directly, you can't avoid it because what happens is then you eventually start to become sick. That's what was happening to me. And and when I say difficult conversations, I don't mean go to your partner and be like, "Oh, you suck. You." There is a proper way to communicate to someone that you love that what's happening in your life and in your body can no longer happen in your life and in your body. And none of it is pointing the finger at them. None of it is yelling at them or being mad at them. There's proper ways to communicate that.
Yes. I had a thought and I completely let it pass. Shoot. Oh, so you were saying how you had to slow down because you were getting hurt because you couldn't accept help. I feel like I had the same thing where I would bring pain onto myself. Like I would put myself in situations that caused me physical pain. Because physical pain is easier to deal with emotional pain, I guess you would think. But, um, and I don't know. It was like you because we were from like a survival based household, or if you like survived your childhood, you
And
weren't living in
chaotic,
alignment.
survival and chaotic,
Yeah,
always chaos,
chaotic
always something.
chaos.
5 kids,
um
chaos all the time.
yeah, it's just I think everyone has like whatever they went through, you have to go through, like you're supposed to go through it.
Oh yeah.
But And so I couldn't be bored. I couldn't be bored. I couldn't be still. Everyone's like, oh, ADD, ADHD. But it's like, really, you're just having to rewire your life. Like you said, you're like,
You're
I don't have to make
avoiding the
bread.
inside. It's not ADD, it's you're avoiding literally what you're supposed to be
Yeah.
feeling.
Or your body just doesn't even know. It doesn't know how to sit still. It doesn't know how to sit still in silence. And it's so uncomfortable at first because it's like, where is the noise? I need the noise, I'm
Yes.
not, this is
Yes.
scary. This is not familiar. This is not what I've known my entire life.
Mhm.
I have to bake bread. I have to do all these things. I have to continuously fill my space and my space in my body and my head. I have to not stop. Otherwise, it's just uncomfortable. It's just not familiar. And so part of, doing the work and doing that ego work is forcing yourself to be comfortable in a place that feels like it's not home. Um, but just like anything else, you train it over and over and over again until you're like, okay, I find myself coming back to the me that feels the most comfortable that I've ever been. And part of that's, I'm sure, aging, but there's plenty of people that have grown up but never really grown at all. So
Because you have to take
it's a
that first
choice that
step
you
of
make.
self accountability, right? Like you're not going
Yes.
to look deep within and then decide, "Oh, I never mind." Once you start looking, you can't go back. So so you have to be
And it's a
ready for
choice.
that.
Like you always tell me that all the time because I was always stuck in my feelings. So I feel this, I don't feel that, I feel this. And you're like, it doesn't matter. You do or you don't. You choose to either do this or you choose to do that. And each road has its own path of consequences. So it's
Yeah.
a choice you make. What do you feel good about at the end of the day? Do you feel good about, drinking and smoking and avoiding yourself and your emotions? Or do you feel good at, meditating, I really don't care for journaling. I want to, but I don't. Anything that makes you exercise, getting in
Well,
touch with
this is like
yourself.
journaling for
Definitely.
us, you know?
Yeah, I like talking. That you are like my
Yeah.
journal. Instead of, it's so funny. I always think about that. Every time I would call you, I'd be like, damn, I could have just had a really good journal entry right there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not like, I want to write. I'd like to write. That's something I'd like to work on. It's just, I feel like talking would be my best thing right now. And I've always struggled to talk to people. If it wasn't for you, I would never, talk to anybody. I was always just in my own head, in my own body. I, moved away from my family. I was like, I'm fine. I'm gonna just be fine until I was not fine.
Until you couldn't
And
pretend anymore, right? Because in the beginning when we started talking about things, it would take you like a month to like make that phone call, but you felt so much better every single time, you know? But then
yes,
like it's like, "Oh, because, you and I have grown to be so honest with each other, and sometimes we didn't want that honest feedback, because it's not easy
yeah,
to be told, "Hey, this is your fault," or "This is you," or that,
right,
like it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage to take feedback from somebody you respect and love and then be like, okay, if this
what
person
can
is
I do
telling me
about
this,
it?
that means I have to change that, or this is a crutch in my life. But it's
Right.
the best road to freedom, the best road to freedom. There's nothing better. Like I always say, I welcome feedback from anybody because I fucking love it. I love the challenge of like, okay, of like just accelerating my soul, like, okay, if
Mhm.
I'm struggling with this, tell me. I want to know so that I can improve on it, because that's my whole point in life. How can I improve the life of my own and my family and my friends and just everybody around? So,
Like elevate, and elevate those
yeah,
around you and
every time
consciously.
every time you learn something difficult and you start to manage it, you're elevating your soul, your being, your life.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
So, yeah, so just being conscious. And I remember just going back to when you said teaching yourself how to sit there. I remember specifically remember when I decided, okay, I have to sit down. I would literally cry. Like this, if
yeah,
I had nothing, like I had to practice resting, I would
yeah,
sit down to read a book and I would literally cry and shake for like a month because my body didn't know how to just not do another
yeah,
task or not, put something on my list. And it's so crazy because I hear people and
yeah.
mothers all the time say, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to read. I don't have time for whatever. Let me tell you, the amount of stuff that I stopped doing that didn't affect my life at all is just unreal. You know what I mean? And also, if you have a long task list, it's okay for your kids to vacuum. It's okay for your kids to make themselves dinner. Like, if you have kids above the age of 8,
Little's bad.
rely on them. Give them tasks. Don't be that mom who's exhausted, still
Yeah.
doing your kids' laundry, still cooking every single dinner, still cleaning everything in the house. Like, no, that's a hard no for me. Like my kids will take on cooking, cleaning. Yes, they're teenagers now, but they did this when they were younger. And this is very beneficial for them to feel useful, to feel helpful. It's good for you and it's good for them.
Humans love
So,
to have a purpose, they really
yes.
do. And they start at a young age. Like, you don't think your kid can do something or want to help you with something, like, you're wrong. They
Mhm.
do. You can't
Yes.
wait till they're, 20 to be like, oh, wash your own dish.
Yeah.
You start those habits early, but it's never too late. Do you
Yeah.
remember how mad I used to be when I tried to meditate? It's so funny. I was so mad. I have to sit here, huffing and puffing. And
Yeah.
like now, it's like the most beautiful thing.
Yeah. When I sit
And I
down, I just melt. I remember when I started my meditations, I started with Joe Dispenza. No, my very first ones were Nicola Perez,
Teal
like the one.
Swan,
Huh?
Teal Swan too, Teal Swan.
Yeah, but eventually Teal Swan. I read her books and did a lot of her content, but I didn't. That was after Joe Dispenza. That was after Nicole the Parrot. I remember Joe Dispenza meditations are life changing,
Yeah,
and
they were.
when I first
And
started
even then,
doing
I
it,
was so mad, remember? I
yeah,
was like, get this
yeah.
shit out of my head.
Yeah, and then I
Oh, God.
remember, like, I could only get through 5 minutes for, like, weeks, 5
Yeah.
minutes. The meditation's, like, 45 minutes, right? Some of them are an hour. But I remember the first, like, 4 weeks, I could only do 5, 10 minutes, and my brain heard nothing. I absorbed nothing. But you know what? All of a sudden, it started to change, All of a sudden, oh, so just going back to autopilot, that's what it was. My life was really, really getting not bad, but I was ruining my own life by being on autopilot. For instance, like let's say it's 7 p.m. and tomorrow it's like, okay, I gotta wake up, take the kids to school, do laundry, do some work, run some errands, clean the kitchen, whatever the tasks of the day were. Next day comes, I would wake up, and before you knew it, it was bedtime again, and I, like, completed 1 out of 10 things that I had to do. So and it wasn't conscious, it was so unconscious that I had the intention of doing it, and then I would, like, almost, like, black out, and then it would be, like, 7, 8 p.m., "Oh my god, the whole day went by," and I'm like, "I ignored this, and did, like, one thing," and, like, when that happens for a certain amount of time, it starts to destroy your life, you know? So that my autopilot was very, very harsh. Um, so anyway, so I had to snap out of it. I had to. But it didn't matter. Like, I would wake up and I would say, okay, let me meditate you know, to like organize my mind. And I would just forget. I would forget everything. I would write things down in my daytime, or I would forget that. I would put them in my phone. I would forget to look at my phone, and I would forget everything. And then I remember this video kept coming up on like TikTok or something of like how to start retraining your brain to remember stuff, and it was so simple, and I was like, this is so stupid, there's no way that this works. And the guy just said, if you brush your teeth with your right hand, start brushing your teeth with your left hand. And this literally saved my life. And as stupid as it sounds, it saved my life enough to where I could actually start remembering small things. And I couldn't even remember to brush my teeth with my left hand. I had to set an alarm on my phone that said, brush teeth with left hand. And I was like, oh. And even if I already brushed them with my right hand, because I just woke up and did it, but then my alarm would go off, I would rebrush them with my left hand. And that went on to, oh, I all of a sudden remember to meditate. And once I started meditating, reprogramming my brain, then everything started to improve. Every single thing in my life started to improve. I all of a sudden was more conscious of the choices I was making. I was remembering my task list. I was remembering to pay, that bill or this bill or whatever. And that's when it really started to improve for me. Can you hear my dog barking? No? Oh, good. I think you're on mute.
Now?
That you're good now,
Good.
yeah.
I just wanted to say that every little step counts. Like if you're in a place where you're like, it doesn't matter, who the fuck cares, there's no purpose, there's no reason, just like quit that shit out, and know that every single step that you take, small, even if it's like, what it was it like drink a glass of water a day, because you're mentioning you didn't remember to brush your teeth. When I was in my lowest, I'd even brush my teeth, like there was times where um I didn't wash my face. Like I just didn't take care of myself. It was so rough. Um, and if you know, you know. Like if you're down in that headspace, then you
Mhm.
understand how bad it can get. And it was like that. It was like I will. How will I ever get to that point? But it doesn't matter. You just take the steps one at a time,
Mhm.
one little task a day. Even if it's like you said, brushing your teeth with a different hand. Even if it's um, going to a coffee shop or finding like going for a walk. I mean, I think you should go outside every day. Like every day you should go out, morning,
Mhm.
afternoon,
Yes,
night.
that's another
Always
thing
be
that
outside.
that saved my life is being outside, and I don't wanna be outside. I got, like, this repelling to the sun, like, when I was outside, I was like, "Ugh," you know? But then I decided to get goats, and then I was forced to be outside a lot, and unbeknownst to me then, that ended up saving my life too because I needed that sunlight, I needed that connection to the animals, to earth, and little by little, they literally brought me back from lack of energy. My energy started coming back. Just started to feel better overall. Um, my immune system started to improve with the sunlight. At that point in my life, I was just like, I had a fever monthly on the monthly basis. It was like a family joke. Oh, Martha has a fever again, you know? But exposing myself to sunlight, processing that grief, that anger, that shame out of my body, uh, was super great for my immune system. And maybe that could be our next episode is how do you actually process grief and anger and shame out of your body? How do you deal with your feelings? We're at 45 minutes now, so we're going to uh tie it up for tonight, but I feel like the next episode should be that. Could be that if you want.
Yes. Also, my laptop's gonna die. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, that would be great because I was just thinking, I was like, what was like the major difference of how I feel today than what I did a year ago? And I really think like the chakra healing, like I think that was the
Mhm. The trauma
most major
healing, right?
change.
Like the
Yeah,
7
yeah,
wheels trauma healing. Yes, 100%
yeah.
for me too. Yes.
Which we both do separately too. So if anybody ever
Yes.
wants some
This is something
information,
we coach. I can
yes.
coach you in that. Maybe I'll attach a link in our podcast thing on
So we could
YouTube.
talk about that next time because that was like a
Yes.
major
Yes,
difference.
how to
And
actually process feelings in your body because
yeah.
I had some strong feelings. Boy, when I started processing feelings that because like I mentioned before, I was just packing it away, any kind of disappointment, any kind of whatever, never talked about it, never communicated it. I would just pack it, pack it, pack it, pack it, pack it because I never wanted to upset people because I thought if everybody loved me, I will stay safe. It was how I learned to stay safe is to make sure I never upset anybody. I performed, people pleasing, helping everyone, all these things. So once I tapped into those feelings and they were erupting like volcanoes, it was extremely difficult. It was very volatile for like a year or two on and off, and it was very hard. But I had a lot in there. You might not have as much, you might have more. You don't know until you tap in. But the more that you have, the shittier that you feel. So anyway, we both do trauma coaching, where you basically look into your body and like just things that
7 core
happened in your life
wounds.
that maybe have caused some issues or some riff and you do actually come out of it
Like
much better.
energetic blocks. Yeah,
Energetic
energetic
blocks,
blocks.
yes, yeah.
Like a kink in a hose where the water can't flow freely, you got to unkink the hose. And
Yes.
then you can flow freely. Like I could not get my shit together. I was just crying every single day of my life.
When we
It was
finished
really
her
bad.
trauma healing, it was the person that came out on the other end was like, "Wow, finally." I was like,
Yeah.
"Finally." Because
Like
this
I
whole
would
time
not be
yeah.
go on.
No, go say.
No, like I just wouldn't be here right now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
not, I mean, I literally failed speech in school because I would not even like speak to the teacher or
Yeah.
the people in front of me.
Yeah.
So there's no way. There's so much shit that I cleared out of my body that I really just want that for everybody because it was the greatest gift I could have ever
Yes.
gotten.
She did a lot of hard work. And it's cute because we kind of get to do this together, but I happen to like kind of put myself through the healing first, and I think that was intentional so that I can guide her and then guide everybody else. We can guide together, but I just kept telling her I was like you're literally almost there. I could taste it. I could feel it. Like just hold on cuz she was like, "Oh my god, there's no way that things are going to get better." But I could feel it, but then I was like, "Wait, what if it doesn't happen? Like I'm just going to look like an asshole." But it did happen,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
and I never told her I had doubts.
I had doubts,
Yeah, but I
but I
didn't. I
felt
didn't. If
it.
I had any doubt, which I really didn't, maybe like 0.001%, I never let her know because I knew as soon as I had a tiny doubt, it would be the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
So
so funny.
when we did the last session, and she came out to the other side, I was like, "Holy shit, like it actually worked." Because she was my toughest client.
Hello.
But
Yeah. Well,
the most amazing, the transformation was the most amazing at the same time. Toughest client, but the biggest transformation.
yeah. The best reward.
Yes.
Um, just kidding. I don't even know why I said that. But thank you for never giving up on me. And no, but really, like it's kind of crazy. So if you don't know, I don't know. What's that saying? Fuck around and find out because it was
Yeah.
really cool. It was
Yeah.
really cool. And it's something that's been around for ever. It's not like this new
It's
age
yes, it's ancient
spirituality
healing.
thing.
It's been in the Rig Veda, like it's from it, I think the Rig Veda is like the oldest book written. So this healing is literally ancient. So and it's very simple. It's so fucking simple, you guys. Now the feelings that come out sometimes are can be a little heavy. But that's okay. That's
Yeah,
why
you
we're
gotta
here to
swim
guide you
through.
through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for you too, friend, just to wrap it up, I think your transformation was really cool too.
Thank you
Very
so much.
great.
I appreciate it. Yes,
It was
and
really
thank you so
cool.
much for everybody listening in. And we really
Yeah.
appreciate you. We appreciate all the love we've gotten. It was honestly like I was
Aw.
like on cloud nine the other day. I was just like high on life. I'm just high on life
Yeah.
right now without
And
any
we
drugs.
recorded that at like 1 a.m. So
We
I'm
did,
sorry.
we did record it at 1 a.m.
I was
We
looking
did.
back at it and I was like, what is wrong with my face? I just kept like zoning out. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um, but
I thought you did
seeing that,
great.
like, thank you. I think you did great.
Thank
Um,
you.
and obviously it's something new to me, new to us, but after you get that first one out, it was just, all right, like who cares? And for anybody listening that is maybe holding off on some creative project that they've been wanting to do, just do it. And I
Just
kept
do it.
hearing that,
Yeah.
like, just do it. Just take the first step, like just do it. Literally. And I'm like, okay, one day it will click. And it did. Like you just have to push
Mm-hmm.
yourself off the cliff and dive in.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? After we recorded that, the next day when I posted it, I was like, I can't wait to record again. And that's never been
Yeah.
me. You know that, right? I'm like, I cannot
I
wait to talk
know.
again. And I was like,
Yeah.
listen, we need to record as soon as possible because I just want to keep talking.
Yeah. And I told her like, well, there's no going back now. Like we're out there. We can't just, fuck
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
We
we
gotta
can't fuck
keep
off.
going
Yeah.
with what we want to do. Like it's game time. So,
Yeah.
I'm
And
also
if you're
very
listening
excited.
to this by chance and you're like, there's nothing wrong with my life. I don't need any of this. I don't need to whatever. That's completely fine. Um, just
Fuck off. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
maybe you don't have dramatic, things happening in your life, but if there's subtle things like you can't get through to your husband or you can't get through to your kid and you need a little help communicating or learning anything, or maybe you're just, starting to feel
Bored.
some physical pain.
Oh.
Sometimes physical pain is a good instigator, not instigator, indicator of, hey, there's shit going on that you're not paying attention to. So, or if you're like, oh, her computer died. I'm just gonna finish it with this. Like, if you're just like, hey, what else is there? What else is to life? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I doing? Whatever like that. Uh, there's answers on the other side. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for sharing, for subscribing. And everybody have a nice day.